a little introduction of our sir, Mr. Yogesh Murumkar sir. So my screen is visible to everyone.
No, madam, your screen is not visible. I have shared. Do you want to share the screen?
No, it's okay. We have to just make our poster bigger one.
No,
I'm just speaking. Okay.
No, same thing I have actually shown on the screen.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Poster only I have shown. Yeah.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes. You are audible, madam.
Okay, sir. So I now want to give little introduction. So, Mr. Yogesh Murumkar sir has passed out his engineering and ME from Pune University. He has completed his both the graduation from Pune University in computer department, a data science and big data analytics enthusiast with more than 10 years of experience, including IT experience and teaching training experience. He has worked for Capgemini India Private Limited for 4 years and worked for clients like Barclays and S. Pankey Bank. He has successfully trained more than 300 participants for global certification in data science and big data analytics. He has successfully trained more than 300 participants for global certification in data science and big data analytics by Dell EMC. He is a global certified trainer in data science and big data analytics, also Microsoft certified Python developer. He has good practical hands-on skill including tools, technologies like Unix, Tableau, license for BI, Hadoop, HBase, Hive, Pig, SQL, R and R Studio and Python. He has conducted various trainings and workshops related to machine learning, deep learning, blockchain, big data analytics and data science for students, professionals at various colleges and universities. Currently training a batch of 100 students and professionals for certification exam in data science and big data analytics at Interdisciplinary School of Scientific Computing and Department of School of Energy Studies, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune. So I am very glad to introduce Mr. Yogesh Murumkar. So he will be introducing ourselves, the big data and Hadoop, and he will also try to show us the hands-on some practices in this area. So I heartily welcome from VPKBIT Baramati for this webinar session. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. Thank you for the introduction. So, yes, first of all, good morning, all of you. Madam has already given my introduction. Okay, so thanks once again, madam. Now, straightforward, what I will do is I will try to start with the session itself.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. So initially, I will just share agenda. Let me just let me know if my screen is visible or not. You should
Yes,
be
sir,
able
it
to
is
see
visible.
yeah, you should be able to see a black screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I will start it like this. I will give you an agenda. What are we going to discuss today? As madam has already said that I'll be discussing about introduction to big data and Hadoop. Okay, so let me just give you agenda first. What are we going to do today? Okay, so the first point I am going to just put it down here. I am going to write down all the points whatever we are going to discuss. So I'm going
Sir, may I request you to make this screen bigger one because it is very small appearing on the screen.
just
Or if we can minimize the poster, then maybe screen will be bigger.
Wait. I think I will have to. Which are you able to see black screen?
So we are able to see, but very small screen.
You should be able to see. Wait, I will stop sharing once again. Others, can you please let me know? Are you able to see black screen in the full size?
No, sir. No, sir. Sir, the poster is available in full size.
Others are saying yes, madam. They are able to see. Yes, they are able to see in full size, madam.
Okay, okay. Let me
Maybe
check.
you just check
My
in your
yes,
case.
yes,
Yeah, in your case, just check it that.
yes, sir. I'm able to see.
Yeah, thank you all of you. So let me just give you agenda. What are we going to discuss today? So I will just try to make it as interactive as possible. And as madam has already said that I am going to show you some hands-on exercises. Okay. So some hands-on about Hadoop also. So let's see. Definitely, it is going to be very informative. I will make sure that. Okay. So the first point which I am going to discuss is a very basic thing. I will start with what is data itself. Right. As our target is, as our topic itself is introduction to big data and Hadoop, right? So as this is our topic, introduction to big data, right? So this data term we are going to see what is the meaning of this. Though it is a very familiar term to all of you, might be right, but yes, it's very important. So that's why we will try to see what is data first. Once we talk about that, then I will try to talk about what are the different types of data which are available. Okay, so one by one, we will see all the types of data with their examples and use cases. Okay, so I will just try to make the concept about types of data clear here. Okay, so I am not saying that you are not knowing about it, but you might be knowing about it, but yes, definitely it's going to clear the concept about all the terms. Okay, the third point I am going to discuss is, then I will move to big data. Then actually we will see what is big data. So we will see what is data first, then types of the data with examples, and then what's big data. We will try to talk about this particular. Okay, and once that is done, once you people are clear about data and big data and types of data, then we will see what is Hadoop. What is Hadoop all about and how you can make use of Hadoop and where it can be used and who developed it and architecture and all those things. Okay, so first of all, we will see what is Hadoop, what it is actually, and why people are talking about this whenever big data comes into picture. Right. After that, once we discuss about Hadoop and big data, I will just try to talk about HDFS architecture, or you can say Hadoop architecture. So we will just try to I will just try to give you an overview about HDFS architecture, what it is, and what are the components of HDFS architecture. We will try to talk about that. And finally, we will do some hands-on Hadoop, because in my case, Hadoop is already installed. Right, Hadoop is already there in my case, because I have a virtual machine on which I have Ubuntu operating system. So on that virtual machine, I already have Hadoop installed. Okay, if you people want that virtual machine, I can provide that. So at the end of the session, I will tell you how to get that virtual machine on which Hadoop is already installed. And I know that in your case, Hadoop might not be there, so you people are not able to do hands-on parallelly with me. So generally, what I do is I prefer hands-on sessions only, right? So that the participants also will be able to do will be able to follow me. Whatever I am doing on my machine, they should be able to follow me. Right? This is what I actually prefer. But in this case, as it's your first session, it's just an introduction. So maybe if it is not installed in your case, if Hadoop is not there, don't worry. At the end of the session, I will show you how you can access my virtual machine. Okay. So and one more thing I will tell you that I will be giving you everything to install Hadoop on your machine. Right. So how to install Hadoop with each and every step, I'll be showing you all those things. So don't worry about that. Even if you do not have Hadoop installed on your machine. Right. So finally, here what we will do is I will show you how to start Hadoop, how to stop Hadoop, and how to run some programs onto Hadoop which are already there, right? And how you can write down your own programs in case of any problem statement if you want to solve, for example, right? So how you can write down your own programs and run them onto Hadoop. So finally, this is what we are going to see. Okay, so this is just an agenda, right? We will start with what is data, types of data, what is big data, what is Hadoop, HDFS architecture I will try to talk about, and then finally hands-on Hadoop. Okay, so these are the points I'm going to discuss today. Right, so let's see one by one. Now, the first point itself, as I told you, the first point is what is data. Okay, so as I already said that this might not be a new term for many of you, because many of you might have come across this term many times, right? But even though it's very common term, but it's very important. Generally, I have seen people, they have confusion in definition of data itself. So what is data? If someone asks you what is data, so data is just a raw material. Okay, many of you might say that data is information, but data is not information. Information is different and data is different, right? And that's why it's very, very necessary to talk about both the terms. So data is just a raw material. Data is not going to give anything, right? From data you cannot interpret something. You need to convert it into information, right? So what is information then? If data is the raw material, information is, I can define information as processed data. So processed data is information and data is just a raw material. For example, if I say maybe if there is something which is cold, if there is something which is in the cone shape, right, and if something which is sweet, right, so this is data. This is called as data, right? But it is called as ice cream is the information. This is the difference between data and information. So just try to understand the difference between them. Okay, data is not information. Data is a raw material, and information is processed data. That's why it's very, very necessary to understand about data. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear. Meanwhile, in between, if someone is having some question, okay, so you people can just send send your question in the chat box, right? You can type your question, and I will have a look on that, and I will answer it. Okay. And anyway, at the end of the session, I will give you some time to ask your questions if you have some. Right. But in between, if someone is having some doubt, definitely you can ask in the chat box. Okay. Now, if we are clear about data, let's try to talk about the second point, that is nothing but types of data. Okay. So there are different types of data. So we will try to see one by one. Let me just clear it because I need some space. So second point is nothing but types of data. So let's see which are the different types of data which are available. The first type of data is nothing but structured data, right? So many of you have already used this type of data many times. Structured data. Second type of data you might have heard about is semi-structured data. Okay, so we will see what are the examples of structured data and what are the examples of semi-structured data. First type is structured data. Second type is semi-structured data. Third type of data is nothing but quasi-structured data. It is QASSI, quasi-structured data. So let's see what is the use case of all these types of data. And fourth type of data is nothing but unstructured data. So many of you might have heard about unstructured data many times, right? Or it might have happened that you might have heard about only structured data and unstructured data. So these are the four main types. I'm not saying that these are the only types. Okay. Yes, Abhishek, screen is visible. I think everyone is saying that screen is visible. Okay, so just check in your case, Abhishek. Abhishek Kamkar. Okay. I hope screen is visible to everyone. So these are the four types of data: structured data, semi-structured data, quasi-structured data, and unstructured data. Now let's see the examples of each one of them one by one. Let's see what is structured data first, and then we will talk about the examples. So structured data, the name itself tells you. Structured data, in simple words, if I want to tell you what is structured data, tabular data is called as structured data.
Sorry, sir, to disturb. Your left hand side screen is not visible. You are now just you take that is available, but left hand side, if you have written something structured data and all, that is not visible, sir.
Okay, let me stop sharing and once again share. So, madam, people are saying it's visible.
Screen.
Yes, participants, please let me know. Are you people able to see everything, whatever I am writing down on the black screen? Yes, madam, everyone is saying it's visible. Yes, madam, it's visible. Everyone is saying visible. Can you please just check in your case? Yeah, everyone is saying visible. Okay, thank you guys. So, madam, if you are there, just check in your case. Maybe. Okay, I think she has not. Okay, no problem. I think everyone is able to see the screen and everyone is able to see whatever I have written. Right. That's what I am getting the replies. Oh, thank you very much. Okay. So structured data is nothing but tabular data. Okay. Now this is nothing but structured data. Okay. The data which can be stored in the form of rows and columns. It is called as structured data. Okay. Now see what we have seen is till now we talked about this stuff, right? We talked about data. Now based on data only there is everything. So if you are clear about data, right, and we also talked about information. Okay, so these 2 points we have already talked about. But from data itself, you will be able to get. Okay, madam. Yeah. So from data, you will be able to get the term which is called as database. So as we talked about information and data, so this data term is going to help us to get information, right? So the people who are raising their hands for 313166, if you have any question, and Shruti Kambe, right? If you are raising your hand, if you have any question, just put the question in the chat box. I will answer it. Okay. Or any doubt, anything, if you have any difficulty, just put it in the chat box. Shruti Kambe, if you are able to hear me. Okay. So from data, you can get this particular term. That is a database. Okay. Now, what is database? Database is a collection of related data. Database is a collection of related data, right? And once you are clear about database, okay, those people who are raising their hands, just put your questions in the chat box if you have any difficulty. So collection of related data is nothing but database. And if you are clear about database, then comes the term database management system. And if I ask you what is database management system, so database management system is a software, right? It's like you can develop database management system, but developing the database management system is a very cumbersome task. It takes a lot of time, right? And if you are clear about database management system, then you can talk about something called as RDBMS. And RDBMS is nothing but relational database management system. So what is this relational word talks about in case of RDBMS? So relational. So relation in database terminology always means table. Okay, so relational database management system is nothing but database management system which deals with tabular data. That means which deals with structured kind of data, right? That's why I have discussed all these terms. So what is data, what is database, what is DBMS, what is RDBMS? One should be very, very clear about all these things if you want to understand what is big data, right? Because earlier there were no technologies which were able to handle big data, right? And because there was no big data, there was only structured data, and there was only RDBMS which was there to handle the structured data, tabular data. But right now, if you talk about current situation, almost everywhere you will see big data. So if you talk about social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, it's big data only. These are the examples of big data only. These are the examples of sources which generate big data, right? If you talk about sensors, they generate big data. So earlier, so I can say right now, out of all the data, you can say 80-90%, you will see that it's big data only, right? So that's why I'm not saying that this RDBMS is not important. Yes, obviously it is, but RDBMS is actually going to help you to tackle structured data. And structured data we have just now seen. Structured data is nothing but a data which can be written in the form of rows and columns. So tabular data is a structured data, as simple as. Okay, so you can have different databases. For example, MySQL is a relational database which can tackle or which can handle this structured kind of a data. Oracle database is the example which can handle structured data. If you talk about Microsoft Excel is also a database. And in Microsoft Excel, many of you might have used it, right? In Microsoft Excel, you know that we can store data into tabular form. So these are the different examples of the tools which can handle structured data. Okay, now let's see what do you mean by semi-structured data, right? So a data in which you have code as well as data. A type of a data where you have code as well as data is an example of semi-structured data. For example, if I want to give an example of semi-structured data, XML database is the best example of semi-structured data. Now, what happens in case of XML database? Suppose how we write down HTML code, XML code, how we write down the how we store the information. So, if you have seen HTML code or XML code, you will find out that we use tags, right? So many of you might have used HTML or XML. So we use tags. Suppose I want to store a name. So how can I store it? So I will write it down in Angular brackets, and then the name which I want to store, suppose Sachin. So that name I will write down in single quote or double quote, and then I will just close that tag, right? So in this case, we find out that we have code as well as data. So XML database. That's why I said XML database is the best example of semi-structured data. Okay, so you have different other databases also which can handle semi-structured data. Okay, now let's try to talk about this particular type of data, and that is nothing but quasi-structured data, QUASSI. So what is quasi-structured data? If I want to give you the example of quasi-structured data, clickstream data is the best example of quasi-structured data. Okay, so now the question is, you might be having a question that many of you might be having a question that what is clickstream data now? So clickstream data is actually generated whenever we click on some result. For example, suppose if I go and try to open one new tab. Okay, for example, if I go and if I open new tab, okay, suppose here if I type Google in the address bar, okay, now you'll be able to see different results. Okay, so here you are able to see Google search, right? So suppose here if I type, maybe I type Pune and just search, just hit enter. Now you will be able to see different results here, right? Different results. Suppose if I click on this result, Pune Wikipedia. Now if you see, there is a change in the address bar, right? There is a change in the address bar. If I click on some another result, suppose this one, again there is a change in the address bar, right? So I will just type Unipune. So or I will just Pune University. Now see, there will be change in the address bar, contents of the address bar. Now see, this is the data which is generated, right? Now suppose if I click on first result here, again there is a change in the address bar. So this data is called as clickstream data. Okay, and clickstream data is the best example of quasi-structured data. Okay, so and where one can make use of clickstream data, you can make use of clickstream data for analyzing. For example, if you want to know which types of websites a particular person visits who sits on a particular machine with particular IP address, right? So you can make use of this type of a data, that is nothing but clickstream data. So this particular data you can make use of there, right? So the data which is generated in the address bar, whenever we click on the results, that type of a data is nothing but clickstream data, and clickstream data is the best example of quasi-structured data. Okay, I hope everyone is clear. If anyone is having any doubt, you can ask in the chat box. Okay, and finally, what is unstructured data? So there are a lot of examples of unstructured data. So a data which is not structured, semi-structured, quasi-structured, obviously it will be unstructured data, but that's not the definition of unstructured data. So many times uh, when we will talk about big data, right? When we will talk about big data can consist of any one of these or combination of these also. That's possible. So if I want to give specific examples of unstructured data, so audio data is the unstructured data, right? Video data is the unstructured data. Live stream data, for example, if you are watching cricket matches or if you are watching some series on if you are watching some series, right, which will be live stream, for example. So that is example of unstructured data. Images, unstructured data. So audio, video, images, or maybe you can say phone calls. These are the examples of unstructured data. SMS, or you talk about Facebook. Facebook data is unstructured data, or Twitter data is unstructured data. So in general, if you talk about any social media data, right, these are the examples of unstructured data. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Instagram, all these are the examples of unstructured data. Okay, and That's why you will see that if you just talk about social media data, so you will see that most of the times it is unstructured data. Social media is the one source which generates a lot of unstructured data, right? And that's why it's very necessary to handle this type of data, and that's why it's very necessary to know about this data. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear about all these terms. What is structured data? What is semi-structured data? What is quasi-structured data? And what is unstructured data? Okay, so let me move to the next point now. What is big data? Okay, so let's talk about third point, that is nothing but big data. So if you go and if you search, you will see that there are a lot of definitions of big data, right? You will be able to see a lot of definitions, but we will just try to understand what is this term all about. So talking about big data, whenever this term comes into picture, whenever this big data term comes into picture, it is actually defined on the basis of 5 V's. Now, what are those 5 V's? Let's try to talk about one by one. Okay, so earlier it was having 3 V's. It was based on 3 V's, and later on they have added 2 more V's, and now it's based on 5 V's. So which are those 5 V's? So the first V stands for volume. Second V stands for velocity. We will see what is volume, what is velocity. Third V stands for variety. Fourth V stands for varsity. And fifth V stands for value. So big data is actually defined with the help of these 5 V's: volume, velocity, variety, varsity, and value. Let's see one by one what is the meaning of all these things. Okay, let's see what is volume. So whenever we talk about big data, volume talks about size of data, and in case of big data, size is very big, or with the size is very big. For example, it might start with petabytes or terabytes, right? 1 petabyte is nothing but 10 to the power 21 gigabytes. Okay, 10 to the power 21 zeros, you can say 10 to the power 21 zeros. So 1 petabyte is nothing but 10 to the power 21 zeros. So this much of big data, right? So volume actually talks about size of the data, and generally the size is in terabytes or petabytes or zettabytes, you can say. So in simple terms, size is very big. Velocity. Velocity is nothing but the speed with which the data comes and it goes from source to destination. Okay, from source to destination and vice versa. So velocity talks about the speed with which data travels. The speed with which data travels. If I want to give an example, suppose there is a driverless car which is developed. Now that driverless car obviously is going to send a lot of data to the computer, for example, right? About engine, about the condition of the car, about speed and everything. So in that case, there is a need to travel the data very fast, right? So there is a high velocity, right, for the data. So sensors, they generate data only, right? So they generate data. So in that case, the speed with which the data travels from source to destination, that is actually this velocity talks about. Okay, so speed is very high. If you talk about any other example, suppose there are different solar panels people use in the farm, right? So now if you talk about current situation on the solar panels, different companies have actually installed they have actually installed different sensors, and those sensors are sending the data to the servers. So in that case, again, the speed should be very high. So velocity talks about that kind of a thing, that is speed with which the data moves, right, from source to destination. Let's talk about third point, that is nothing but variety. What is variety? Variety is nothing but what type, different types of data are going to come into picture. That means different varieties of data. So a data can be tabular, okay, a data can be image data, data can be a video data, Right? It can be from sensors. It can be a key value pair data like JSON, if you people are aware about JavaScript object notation, or for that matter, it can be any other social media data, right? So variety of data. So variety talks about different types of data. So big data consists of all these things. Okay, varsity. What do you mean by varsity? So let's try to talk about value first, and then we will talk about varsity. Value is nothing but the trustworthiness. Value is nothing but trustworthiness. So these two V's were not there earlier in the definition of big data, but later on they have added these two V's also. So value is nothing but trustworthiness of data. What do you mean by this? That means the source from which data is coming, that source uh, should be trustworthy. Okay, and that means it should not happen that you are actually getting some data from some source and you are not getting any output, right? And this varsity actually talks about the profit. That means whether the data which you got from some source, whether it is generating some value or not, whether it is generating some profit or not, profit in terms of money, profit in terms of saving time, profit in terms of increasing the profit, or profit in terms of increasing the revenue, you can say, or profit in terms of decreasing the risk. Okay, so the varsity actually talks about that thing. Okay, so overall big data consists of all these terms: volume, velocity, variety, varsity, and value. Okay, so whenever you come across big data, just try to remember there are 5 V's now: volume, velocity, variety, varsity, and value. I hope everyone is clear about all these terms. Now let's try to talk about what do you mean by Hadoop, or what is Hadoop. Let's try to see that. Okay, so Hadoop was actually introduced in the way back, I think 2005 or 6. Okay, and the person who has developed Hadoop, there are actually many other people also, but the main contribution was from Duck Cutting. So Duck Cutting is the fellow who has actually come up with this idea. This is the name of the person who come up with the idea of Hadoop. Okay. Hadoop is actually a framework. What is framework? Framework is something. Hadoop actually provides you a framework. And what is framework? Framework is actually, in simple words, you can say framework is like where you have everything at one place. So Hadoop tries to give you everything at one place. That means it tries to give you storage, it tries to give you processing at one place. Okay, so you don't have to use any other thing. Just use Hadoop and you will be able to make use of storage, as well as you will be able to process your data on that storage. And that's what this Hadoop framework actually provides. Okay, so and if I want to give you some information about general information about this Hadoop, it is a product of Apache Foundation. Okay, or if you just Google, you will be able to know about it. Who is actually owning the Hadoop software or Hadoop framework, you can say. Okay, so Apache Hadoop, generally you will hear this word Apache Hadoop. Okay, so this Apache Hadoop is a collection of open source software utilities. So if I say open source, what do you mean by this? It means that it is free. It is free in terms of code. That means code is also freely available, as well as it is free in terms of money. That is the meaning of open source. So Apache Hadoop is a collection of open source software utilities. Okay, that can facilitate using a network of many computers to solve problems which involve massive amounts of data and computation. So whenever there is a huge data involved, you can make use of Hadoop. Okay, and you can make use of computation power of Hadoop. And this Hadoop provides a software framework for distributed storage. Okay, so this particular word comes into picture, distributed. We will try to see what is distributed means. Okay, so Hadoop provides a software framework for distributed storage and processing of big data using something which is called as MapReduce programming model. So we will see we will just try to I will just try to introduce you to the MapReduce programming model, or MapReduce paradigm it is called as. Paradigm is nothing but technique. So generally you will hear this word whenever we talk about Hadoop. Okay. So in simple words, Hadoop is a software, open source software, which provides you a framework for storing your big data as well as processing the big data. Okay. And it is developed by Hadoop Software Foundation. And Hadoop is mainly written in Java. So this person and other people, they have written Hadoop in Java. So basically it is developed in Java. And initial release, as I told you, it was in 2005 or 6. Okay. And duck cutting, and one more person is there. I think the person with the name Mike Caffarelli. These are the people who have actually developed Hadoop. But this person is duck cutting is the person who actually contributed more. And why he has named it as Hadoop, or if he has seen the logo or the picture whenever you talk about Hadoop, there is an elephant, right? So why it is called as Hadoop actually? There is no logic here. So what happened actually? Duck cutting, when he was trying to develop Hadoop, when he was when Hadoop was in the initial process, so initial phase. So while developing this uh, Hadoop framework, this duck cutting has named it as Hadoop because his daughter, when she was playing with a toy, and that wooden toy was to that wooden toy she was calling as Hadoop. That is the only reason, nothing else. Okay, so there is no logic actually. If you go and if you try to read about the history, you will come to know that. Okay, so this is all about what's Hadoop. Hadoop is a framework which helps you to store big data as well as processes your big data on distributed file system. So, what is the meaning of distributed file system? So for that, first of all, one needs to understand what is file system, and then we will talk about what is distributed file system. So this point I will cover when I will discuss about HDFS. That is going to be our next point. Okay. So let's try to see one by one. Okay. So I hope everyone is at least got an idea about what is Hadoop. Next, I will talk about HDFS. So basically, whenever I talk about Hadoop, so Hadoop actually consists of HDFS, okay, and it consists of so something called as MapReduce, Hadoop MapReduce. So whenever I talk about Hadoop, it consists of HDFS and MapReduce. HDFS takes care for storage, and MapReduce takes care for processing of the big data. So I will again repeat, Hadoop is an open source software framework for storing data and running applications on clusters of commodity hardware. So what do you mean by commodity hardware? Commodity hardware means, for example, if I want to give the example of commodity hardware, like personal computers, which we use which we use at home, right? So that's the advantage of Hadoop actually. So you don't have to use very high-end machines. You can use your personal computers also. What happens is you can attach all the personal computers and you can make use of the power of all the machines. So these machines, which are personal computers, they are called as commodity hardware. So Hadoop actually makes use of commodity hardware. So if you have some old machine at your home, what you can do, if you are using Hadoop, you can attach that old machine to this particular network, and you can make use of the power of that, or the processing power of that machine, which can be combined, right? So with the help of this architecture. And how to do that you can understand when you will try to install a multi-node cluster. In this case, I have installed single node cluster. I will be showing you at the end. Okay, so you just need to wait for some time. Okay. So Hadoop is an open source software framework for storing data and running applications on clusters of commodity hardware. So whenever I am saying clusters of commodity hardware, so what is the meaning of the word cluster? Cluster is nothing but group. So what happens actually, if I want to tell you in simple words, if this is one cluster, if this is one group, there will be another cluster like this, another group of computers, another group of computers, and so on. So you can attach all the commodity hardware, all the simple personal computers, whatever you have. You can attach all those computers, and you can go and you can process your big data very fast. So Hadoop provides massive storage for any kind of data, enormous processing power, and it provides ability to handle virtually limitless concurrent tasks or jobs. That means you can go and you can execute the tasks parallelly with the help of Hadoop. Okay, and as I told you, Hadoop is open source and it is a Java-based framework used for storing and processing big data. And the data is stored on inexpensive commodity servers, that is commodity hardware that runs as clusters. So one group of computers is nothing but one cluster. Like this, there are different clusters which are which can be available. It depends on how much power you want, right? So this is all about Hadoop. Let's try to talk about some other points. For example, if someone asks you, or you might be having a question, right? You might be having a question when to use Hadoop. So as I already said, Hadoop is a open source framework which is developed in Java, but I already told you that it can be used for big data, right? But again, there are different use cases which you might come across. So if I just want to put some of the use cases, some of the examples where Hadoop can be used, I can say you can make use of Hadoop for processing of very big data, right? Really big data. This we already talked about. This is one point you can say. Another thing, you can make use of Hadoop for storing diverse set of data, right? Diverse set means variety of data whenever you want to store. Whenever you want to do parallel processing, you can make use of Hadoop. This is another use case. Maybe whenever you want to do real-time analysis, in that case you can make use of Hadoop. Whenever you want to work with a relational database management system, in that case also you can make use of Hadoop. It's not like that Hadoop is only for unstructured data. It can be used for structured data, semi-structured, quasi-structured, and unstructured as well, right? That's what RDBA is. So if you are going to make use of something called as general network file system. So this is a file system actually. What is file system? I will talk about next. Okay. Or even as I said that Hadoop can be used for parallel processing. Even if you do not want to use parallel processing, and if you want to use non-parallel data processing, in that case also you can make use of Hadoop. And there are a lot of other use cases where you can make use of Hadoop. And basically, whenever we talk about storage, this particular thing is going to come into picture, HDFS. So these are some of the examples where one can make use of Hadoop. Okay. So again, you might be having a question that if I am saying that Hadoop is used for storing, so some of you might be having a question that is Hadoop a database? Let me just answer it. Is Hadoop a database? Yes, who is that? Okay. Mukesh. Mukesh is asking, please show parallel processing using Hadoop hands-on. So I will be showing you hands-on at the end. So you will have to wait for some time, okay, Mukesh? Because what I have been told that you people are new to Hadoop, that's why I am not moving to the hands-on directly. Getting my point, Mukesh? Otherwise, if you people are aware about Hadoop already, if you people are aware about all these points, let me know. I will directly move on hands-on. Even I will talk about integration with other tools also. So I have been told that you people are new to big data and Hadoop. That's why I am just talking about all the basic terms. Okay. If anyone is already aware about all these terms, let me. Is Hadoop a database? Suppose if you have this type of a question, so I will say that Hadoop is not a type of a database, but rather a software ecosystem that allows for massively parallel computing. Okay, so parallel computing, I will be showing you how actually it executes the program, how actually it processes the data. Okay, so it's an enabler of certain types, certain types of NoSQL distributed databases. So there are SQL databases and there are NoSQL databases also. For example, if some of you heard about MongoDB, so MongoDB is a NoSQL database. Okay, So NoSQL actually stands for what? So NoSQL stands for what? NoSQL stands for, it's not NoSQL, it's not only SQL. That means you can use SQL as well as you can use other languages also to fetch the data. MongoDB is one of the examples of NoSQL databases. There is another example, maybe as Madam has already told me that we will be having some other sessions also, hands-on sessions. So I'll be talking about HBase, I'll be talking about Hive, I will be talking about P and all those things, and I will show you how to integrate all these things with Hadoop. Okay, so as I already said that this is just an introduction, so that's why we are not talking about all these things with their hands-on. But here I will talk about Hadoop and I will show you a hands-on example of it. So all these are nothing but NoSQL databases. So you can go and you can actually integrate all these things with Hadoop. Okay, so to answer this question, in Hadoop database, Hadoop is not a type of a database. Okay, so but it's a software ecosystem which allows you for massively parallel computing. Okay, so that's how you can answer that question. Now, if you are clear about all these points, now in general, there might be a question, right? So you might be having a question that, okay, if I am talking about Hadoop, so who is using Hadoop? Which are the companies in the market which are actually working with Hadoop? So there are a lot of companies which are making use of Hadoop framework. So the first and the foremost is Amazon. Amazon Web Services, you can say. So Amazon is the company which actually using Hadoop. So Amazon, it makes use of Amazon Elastic MapReduce, which provides a managed and easy to use analytics platform, which is built around the powerful Hadoop. Okay. So Amazon is first company which makes use of Hadoop, and there are others also. So there is a company called as Cloudera, which makes use of Hadoop. Then there is one company that is called as ScienceSoft. There are a lot of them actually. So there is something which, there is one company which is called as Pivotal. It's a cloud provider. Pivotal is a cloud provider actually. And Hortonworks is one of the other companies which makes use of Hadoop. And International Business Machines, IBM. Okay, there are different companies like MapR is also there, and Microsoft is there. All of them, they are making use of Hadoop, and there are, the list goes on actually. If you go and if you search, you will get a lot of companies which are making use of Hadoop framework. Okay. Now, again, see, it's not like that there is only Hadoop. There are other alternatives of Hadoop also. For example, there is something called as Spark, which can be used as an alternative of Hadoop. There is something called as Google BigQuery, right? So this is also an alternative for Hadoop. Now, let me talk about HDFS. As I said that whenever we talk about Hadoop, Hadoop consists of two things. The first one is HDFS, and the second one is MapReduce. So HDFS takes care for storage, okay, and MapReduce takes care for processing. Let's talk about what is HDFS first. So HDFS stands for Hadoop Distributed File System. Let's try to clear this particular concept first, this particular term first. What is Hadoop Distributed File System? So let's divide it. Hadoop we have already seen. Distributed word, I will tell you what it is. First of all, we will see what do you understand by this word, file system. Okay. Again, this is not the new word for many of you. You might have come across this particular word. Okay. So let's first of all discuss what is file system. Or maybe there are different examples of file system. If I talk about Windows operating system, there are different file systems. Or if I talk about any flavor of Linux, there are different file systems. So for Windows, you might have come across. So I hope many of you have tried to format your machines, right? So whenever we format our machine, so it asks us which file system you want to format, or maybe many of you might have formatted your pen drives, USB drives. So how do you do it? You go right click it and click on format button, click format. So in that case, if you have noticed, there is one option, drop down box, which is file system, and in that option you have different options. So FAT is the file system, file allocation table. Another file system is FAT32. So we generally format our pen drive with this one. Okay. Why do we format? What do you mean by format? Format means creating a structure, giving a structure to your operating system. Because without file system, it's not like that you cannot store your data. Still, you will be able to store the data, but that data will not be having any meaning. It will not be having any meaning. It will be meaningless. And after FAT and FAT32, another file system which is there in Windows is NTFS. With some networking features added, there's a file system called NTFS. These are some of the examples of file system which come under Windows operating system. If I talk about different operating systems which come under Linux, right? Different flavors of Linux, like Ubuntu, Red Hat, Fedora, SUSE, and all those things. So there is a file system. There are different file systems which are actually available. So they make use of extended file system. Okay, so that is called as ext2 or ext3 file system. Ext actually stands for extended file system. So what is file system? File system is the structure of your operating system. So if you people have used any Linux operating system, you might have noticed that the structure of Linux operating system is like this. At the top, there is always a directory which is called as root directory, and everything else is inside root directory. Suppose there's a bin folder, okay, so which is inside this root directory. There is a dev folder, right? Then there are different folders like sbin folder and so on. So, but at the top there is a root folder, that is this slash. Why is it so? It is because of the structure of the file system. Now, if I give you a simple example, if you talk about Windows operating system, you can go and you can change the names of all the drives except one drive, and that is nothing but C drive. Why is it so? Why you cannot change the name of the C drive? Because or I can say that there is one drive by default you will see, and it is C drive. Why? It is because of its NTFS file system, and because of NTFS file system only your operating system gets structure. So if you do not format your drive on which you want to install some operating system, if you do not format it, what will happen? Still you will be able to store the data on hard disk on that storage drive, but you will not be able to separate the data into files and directories. It is because of file system only you are able to separate your data into files and directories, and that's why this file system is very important. Okay, so that's the concept of file system. Now, what is distributed file system? So whenever I talk about file system, that means I talk about only one machine. Okay, only one machine. But whenever I talk about distributed file system, that means my data will be distributed in this manner. It is going, all of these machines are going to make use of only one file system. So in this case, the data is distributed. That is the thing with distributed file system. And what is Hadoop distributed file system? Hadoop, what you already studied. So as Windows makes use of NTFS file system, Linux makes use of ext file system, Hadoop makes use of HDFS file system. I will show you the structure in my Ubuntu virtual machine. I will show you the structure of this HDFS. Okay, so in case of HDFS, the structure of HDFS also starts with root. So all these points you will be able to make some sense about all these things once you see the practical hands-on, or once you try it out on your own. Okay, I will tell you how to install Hadoop, how to create the HDFS file system if you are interested. Obviously, one needs to spend some time to understand all these things. Without practical, you cannot go and you cannot have a good hands-on on all these things, right? It's very important to have practice. It's very important to try out all these things practically on your own. I will tell you what to do for that. Okay, so this is about HDFS. Okay, now let me go and try to talk about the overview of the Hadoop architecture, how it looks like. Okay, so as I already told that it consists of HDFS and it consists of MapReduce, right? So there are other things also you will come to know, and there are different. What's happening is every time you will see after some days there are updations in the Hadoop. There are different versions of Hadoop which are available. So it started from 1 point, then 2 point, now Hadoop 3 is available. So the architecture is something like this. So let me just this is a you can say the overview of the architecture. Okay, so at the bottom you will see there is a storage which is HDFS. There is something called as yarn, which Hadoop makes use of. Yarn actually stands for yet another resource negotiator. Okay, so it stands for yet another resource negotiator, right? And once you have these two, HDFS and yarn, so here it's going to make use of MapReduce, as I told you. MapReduce is one of the important components, and then you can run other applications. So this is the overview, you can say, of the Hadoop architecture. Okay, it's simple architecture of Hadoop, which you will be able to find out. And obviously, if you want to go and if you want to see it in detail, there are different parts of this each and every component. Let's try to see that. So if I talk about how Hadoop works, so Hadoop actually follows this architecture. It follows master-slave architecture. Let me put in front of you what it is actually. Okay, so if there is one node, what do you mean by node? Node is nothing but machine. Okay, whenever I say node, node is nothing but machine. So there will be one master node. Okay, and see what happens is when you successfully install Hadoop onto your machine, how you will come to know that you have installed Hadoop successfully? So if you are able to see 5 nodes, which are those 5 nodes? One is called as data node. Node is nothing but machine. Okay, name node. Then there is something called as secondary name node. When you are able to see all these nodes, then only you can say that Hadoop is successfully installed on your machine. Resource manager. This is what I am going to show you practically. And node manager. Okay, so these 5 nodes you should be able to see: data node, name node, secondary name node, resource manager, and node manager. So out of all these, now see what is data node. Data node takes care for storage. What is name node? Name node handles all the data nodes. It handles all the data nodes. What is secondary name node? If this name node fails, secondary name node is going to take over. Okay. What is resource manager? Resource manager is the node. There will be some machines which are going to act as resource manager, which are going to handle all the resources. That means all the machines they will handle. This is how Hadoop works. Node manager handles each and every node. Let me just put it in the picture. You'll be able to make some sense. See, master node. So name node is going to be the master node in case of Hadoop. Okay, and this node, resource manager, is going to be the another master node. So as I told you that Hadoop follows master slave architecture, so it actually has one master node with one group of machines which is called as master node, and which consists of name nodes and resource managers. Right now, these master node is going to take care for other nodes, and which are going to be slaves. So here there is the first cluster which will be slave, or I can say slave node. There will be one more, suppose like this. See, what are all these? These are nothing but commodity hardware. What is commodity hardware? Commodity hardware, the best example of commodity hardware is your personal computer, the computers which you use at home, that you can make use of for Hadoop. Okay, that is the bigger advantage of Hadoop. It saves a lot of cost, and that's why many big companies actually making use of Hadoop for big data processing. That is the only reason, because it saves their money. Commodity hardware, that is older machines, they can take at very low cost, right? There is no need to have a very high RAM, a very costly RAM, right? So see one more point in practical scenario. What happens is, if I talk about 8 GB RAM for my laptop, So the cost of 8 GB RAM for my personal computer is very low as compared to the cost of 8 GB RAM for server. There is a lot of difference, right? And what Hadoop does, Hadoop actually makes use of our commodity hardware only, and that's why it helps to save a lot of cost, right? That's why many companies are actually going for it. That is one of the most important reasons. Okay, now this is a master node. If you see, this one is a master node. So name node and resource manager are going to act as master node. Now what is there in slave? So name node and this resource manager, they are done. Now where this data node is going to come into picture? As I told you, data node is going to take care for storing. So data node is going to act as slave, right? And one more thing, this node manager is going to handle this cluster. So this is also going to act as slave. So node manager is going to report to resource manager. Okay, and here on each and every node you will see that there will be a process called as map and there will be a process called as reduce. Okay, so same thing is here, same thing is here, and same thing is here also. So you will be able to see data node, right, and data node here also. So data node is going to act as slave. So node manager, here there will be node manager, here there will be node manager, and then map and reduce, and then here also map and reduce, and here also map and reduce. So you will be able to see that this is the master node and all others are slave node. So you can see name node and resource manager are going to act as master and all others are going to act as slave. That is data node, resource manager, data node and node manager are going to act as slave. This secondary name node, as I told you, it is going to be activated when this name node actually fails. So that's why if you are doing some real-time task, there is no you will see that there is no point that you will lose any data or that particular task is going to stop. No, because as and when there is some problem with name node, the secondary name node is going to come into action. It is not like that it's a copy of the name node, but what it does is it actually takes the backup of the name node at particular timestamp. Okay, if name node is down, secondary name node is going to come into picture. So this is the architecture of Hadoop with the help of all these nodes, you can say. Okay. Now let's try to see one example how Hadoop stores the data. So this is a theory part. Okay, I will be showing you uh, on HDFS how it stores the data. I will be showing you on that with the help of GUI also. Okay, so let me just give you a simple example. Suppose if you have a file, simple file like example.txt. Okay, so this is a simple data. Suppose as we do not have a big data here, I'm just trying to take a simple example of this file example.txt. Now how this data will be stored? Okay, madam, I will start with the hands-on only. Because see, I was just trying to clear all these points because I thought they will not be clear about those. They should understand, right? I will show hands-on. Don't worry, madam. I will show hands-on, and I will give them everything. I will give them virtual machine. I will give them a ready-made virtual machine. Only Hadoop is already installed. Okay, so I will show it, madam. Don't worry. I will complete that hands-on. Suppose we have some 800 MB of data. Now, how Hadoop stores it? So it stores the data into blocks, okay, and so on. So it stores data into blocks. So and size of each block is either 128 MB or either 256 MB. It depends on the version which you use. Okay. Now what happens? Suppose it is 800 MB, right? So each block is of size 128. So that means it divides this 800 MB of data into 128, 128, 128, 128, and so on 128. Right? But for example, in the last in the last only 60 MB of data is there, and your block is of 128 MB, right? So what Hadoop does is it is going to make a block of 60 MB. That means it does not waste storage. Okay. So there is no wastage of the storage, and that's why Hadoop is very important. So if 800 MB of data is there, how it stores? It stores data into blocks of either 128 MB or 256 MB. Okay. So I wanted to show you the architecture also, but yeah, people are requesting for hands-on. I will directly go with the hands-on now. So let me show you. I will just minimize this black screen and let me show you my virtual machine. See, I have a dual boot machine actually, and but with the help of dual boot machine, I cannot show it right now because I will have to restart my machine, right? So what I have done is I have a virtual machine here, and on that virtual machine I have installed Hadoop. Are you people able to see uh, the desktop of Ubuntu, which is a virtual machine? Are you able to see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now let me go and try to show you. Obviously, one should be able to understand basic Linux commands. Okay, you should have a good knowledge of basic Linux commands whenever you talk about Hadoop. Because, and again, why Linux? Because security is one of the main reasons. So if you see the servers on which Hadoop is installed, they are Linux servers or Unix servers, we can say. That's why we have also installed Hadoop on Linux. In my case, I will show you where Hadoop is installed. Let me start with the terminal. Okay. Now, how to start Hadoop? First of all, to check whether Hadoop has started or not, the command is JPS. What is JPS? JPS stands for Java Process Status. Why Java Process Status? Because in the theory part, I already told you that Hadoop is developed in Java, right? So that's why we run JPS, Java Process Status. If I do JPS, it is not showing me all those nodes, right? What I told you in the theory, I told you that you will come to know whether Hadoop is started or not. How? If you type JPS and if it shows you data node, name node, resource manager, secondary name node, right, and node manager. If you are not able to see all these 5 nodes, that means Hadoop has not started, right? So in my case, I'm not able to see all the 5 nodes. That means in my case, Hadoop is not started. Now, how to start Hadoop? So in my case, I have installed Hadoop, or I put the folder of Hadoop into downloads folder. Okay, so let me go, and now you might be knowing CD command. So I will go to downloads directory. First of all, I will check in which directory currently I am. So PWD. PWD stands for present working directory. So currently I am in /home/server. My Hadoop folder is in downloads folder. What I will do is I will go to downloads. So let me go here. Let me clear it. Okay. This is what current directory is. Now I will go to downloads. Inside downloads, if I type ls is list. That's inside downloads, you will see that this Hadoop folder is extracted here. So in my case, I have actually put Hadoop folder inside downloads directory. You can put it anywhere, wherever you want. Now, what am I going to do is, see, if you are able to see, I have created one file, KBIEP. What I'm going to show you is, I'm going to show you how Hadoop actually stores the data onto HDFS and how it processes the data. That's what I want to show you. Okay, so I will try to pass this particular file as an input later on. So I have created this particular file with the name of your college. Okay, and I have written some data in there. I will be showing you it later on. First of all, let me start Hadoop. Now, how to start Hadoop? So I am already in downloads folder. I will have to go inside this Hadoop folder. That's why CD and Hadoop. Now I am inside Hadoop dash 3.0.0. So I have installed the latest version of Hadoop. If I go and if I try to check PWD, that is present working directory. Okay, so now you'll be able to see that I am inside that directory. So let me clear it and see, this is PWD. Okay, don't worry about all the commands. I will be sending you all the commands and everything. Okay, just try to observe whatever I am doing. Just try to understand, and if any difficulty in between, let me know. Now I am in this Hadoop folder. Now to start Hadoop, this is the command start, no, start dash all dot sh. What is this all? This all is nothing but start all the nodes. This sh is nothing but what? It's a shell script. It's a script. So actually I'm just calling a shell script with this name, which is already there inside this folder. Okay, that's why I went to that folder. So I will go and I will start Hadoop. So start dash all dot sh and press enter. Now it should start name node, data node, secondary name node, node manager, and resource manager. And it should show you whenever it is starting. So we will have to wait for some time. It is going to start in 1 or 2 minutes. So the process is going on. Okay, so just have some patience. So here you can see it is starting all the nodes one by one. So you can check it, attempting to start. Right now, see secondary name node, starting secondary name node. It should give me starting name node also, starting data node also, starting node manager also, and starting resource manager. So one by one it will start. So this is name node, and somewhere here you will be able to see resource manager, right? This is resource manager, and node manager. See, you can see that it has started. It has started node manager also, and yes, that process is done. Let me check with the help of JPS command. I'll just write at the top. So I'll clear everything. Okay. JPS Java process status. Now if I check, I should be able to see all the 5 nodes. Now see, earlier it was not showing me all the 5 nodes. Now I am able to see resource manager, node manager, secondary name node, and data node. That means Hadoop is properly running in my case and it is started successfully. Why am I able to see all these things? Because I have already installed Hadoop. I am again repeating. Don't worry. If you do not have Hadoop installed onto your machine, at the end I will be giving you all the steps, and I will show you how to do that. That means I will give you all the things which are required for it. So don't worry about that. If you are comfortable with Linux commands, it's not a big deal to install. Don't worry about it. Okay. So see, in my case now, Hadoop is properly installed. Now here I am showing you everything on terminal, right? If Hadoop is started onto your machine, you can see the GUI of Hadoop also. So let me just click on the browser and let me show you how graphical user interface of Hadoop looks like. If I want to access the graphical user interface of Hadoop, it runs on a particular node. Okay, so I will go to the address bar, okay, on my local machine, and see, you are able to see that. So let me go and show it from start. See, localhost. What do you mean by localhost? Localhost means my machine, current machine, right? And Hadoop actually runs on the name node. Name node of Hadoop actually runs on the port number 9870. Okay, it's fixed. It's fixed by Hadoop only. Earlier it was different. Now it is 9870. So what I will do is localhost : I will type the port number on which name node runs. That is 9870. Why am I accessing this port number only? Because name node is a master. That's why. And I will just press enter. Now you will be able to see the graphical user interface of Hadoop. So you will be able to see all the data nodes, data volume failures, snapshots, startup process, and in utilities if you go, you can access Hadoop distributed file system, browse the file system. That's why I discuss file system concept. Generally people feel that those basic points are not important, but they are the points which are important. If you understand those points, then only you will be able to understand all these things, whatever I am trying to show. Okay. Now if I click on this browse the file system, now see on this file system, as I have done a lot of programming, that's why in my case you will be able to see a lot of files. Okay, see all these files you will be able to see in my case. But if you install Hadoop first time, obviously you will not be able to see all these files in your case, because I have done some programming, I have written some applications, and that's why I'm able to see all these things here. So this is nothing but the file system. As I told you that Hadoop HDFS file system also starts with this. So I wanted to show you theory part, right? That architecture. So in that architecture, I have shown you this thing only. See, it's like a Linux file system. Linux file system also, that is ext2, ext3, ext4, it also starts with slash, and this also starts with slash. Okay, so under slash only we have everything. Now, what I will show you is, as I told you that, I will be showing you an example where we are going to run a program which is going to analyze some data. Okay, so if I go to downloads folder, in downloads folder we will create one file. So this file is already created. I will just rename it because I have already used that name. So I will just go and try to rename this file kbit.txt. Extension doesn't matter in case of Linux file. Okay, so or I will do it like this, kbit123.txt. Now, if I try to open this file and if I try to show you the data from this file, it is something like this. So I will be passing this particular file as input. See, we'll be able to see this. So just assume that this is the big data. Here I am not able to show you big data, right? Because if I try to use big data, it will take hours to process. That's why just assume that this is the big data. Obviously, one should not use Hadoop for this much of data, right? But just for your understanding purpose, I am trying to take the help of the smaller data. Okay, so see, this is the kind of a text which is written here. Hello friends, this is Yogesh Murumkar. We will learn big data, big data, big data, big data, Sachin. Right? Number of words are repeated. So what am I going to do is, I am going to show you a ready-made program which is already there in Hadoop. What that program is going to do? That program is going to analyze this data, and it is going to divide this data into key and value. So MapReduce is going to do that. That means our output will be like this. Hello, suppose hello, how many times it is coming in this file? One time, second time, third time. So hello 3. Suppose Sachin word is coming, suppose 10 times. So we are going to run a word count program on this input file. So how to do that? That's what I am going to show you. So for that, what I will have to do is, first of all, I will have to go and copy this particular file onto HDFS, that is Hadoop distributed file system. Okay, and then I will have to apply word count program, which is inbuilt program in case of Hadoop. So let me go and try to show you. Okay, so before that, those people who are asking that, okay, about installation and all those things, don't worry, I am again repeating. See, installation, if you want to do, because many people who are asking, just go and search with my name, Yogesh Murumkar, Hadoop installation. With each and every step, I have already shown the installation of Hadoop, and a lot of applications we have created. All those applications are actually shown on my YouTube channel. So this is my YouTube channel actually. Those people who are asking about the installation steps and all the documents, so in the description you will be able to get all the documents. So generally people worry about all those things, right? So those who are asking me this, you just go and try to see. And I will be sharing this virtual machine, so don't worry about that, because I have seen people ask me the same thing again and again. Okay, so this is the video which is going to help you to install Hadoop. Okay, so you can go and you can refer. Okay, so you just search with my name, you will be able to get it. Now moving forward, let me go to the terminal of my virtual machine. Now the file which I was having with the name kbit123.txt, that file is in download folder. So what I will do, first of all, I will put that file onto HDFS. How? This is the command, HDFS dfs-put. Put is like copy. Which file I want to put? I want to put kbit.txt, but that file is actually in download folder, right? So that means I will have to go to that path. That means two dot means what? Two dot means go one step back. That means currently I am in this folder, so I will go one step back. That means in download folder. Okay, kbit123.txt. This is the file. Now this is the file, okay, kbit123.txt. So what I have done, this is a simple Linux command, okay. I already told you, you should have a knowledge of basic commands at least. So dot means what? Go one step back, because my file was in downloads folder, that's why I went to downloads folder. So this is a source path, and where I want to copy it, I want to copy it onto HDFS file system. So this slash, what is this slash denoting? This slash is actually denoting HDFS file system, because earlier I already shown you this slash is nothing but starting point of HDFS file and press it. What this command is going to do? This command is going to copy kbit123.txt file onto HDFS file system. If I want to see that, Hadoop EFS -ls and slash. ls means list. Okay, so here you will be able to see that file. So if I scroll up, somewhere here I will be able to see the file. So here kbit123.txt, I will have to just scroll it down on the right side. Okay, but otherwise if I want to show this particular file onto graphical user interface of Hadoop, I will go here, refresh this, and if I check onto HDFS file system, that file should be here, somewhere here, kbit123.txt. Now see, you are able to see that. See this one, if you are able to see, let me just highlight it. So what I have done, I just put that particular file onto HDFS. Okay, so I will open it and show you. You will be able to see the same data. So I will click on this, hit the first 32 kilobytes, and if I go and see, we'll be able to see same data. Hello friends, this is Yogesh Manukar. We will learn big data analysis. Okay, so now your file is on HDFS file system, right? Or the data which you want to process, that data is on now HDFS file system. Now after that, now what I will do is I will apply a word count program on that particular file. So let me just go and see. Okay. Now I will apply word count program on that file. So I will go to terminal. I will go to the terminal here, and the name of the file is kbit123.txt. So how to apply word count program? So the command is like this: Hadoop jar share Hadoop map reduce. So this is just a part. Those people who are aware about basic Linux commands, they will understand it. Otherwise, if you are not aware about, go through that video which I showed you. So Hadoop jar share Hadoop map reduce examples.jar. What is jar? Jar is nothing but Java archive. It's like a zip file. In that zip file, a lot of programs are there, like word count, sudoku, sorting, searching. Out of that, I am running word count. What this word count does, I already told. Now, word count. I want to run word count. To this word count program, I want to pass this particular file kbit123.txt as an input, space slash. In which file, in which directory I want, output of this. So suppose kbit123_out. Okay, in this directory my output will be there. Let's press enter, and you will be able to see that it is going to do map and reduction. Let me tell you, I haven't shown you architecture of map and reduce, because you people were requesting me to go and start with the hands-on. Okay, so architecture I haven't shown you map and reduce. I generally show that, and then but here you'll be able to see that map is done first and then reduction. So everything will be mapped first. That means which node will store what data, and then reduction will be done. So in our case, what's the output I told you? Word and the count of the word. Let me press enter. Now here you will be able to see that map will be done first and then reduction. So somewhere here I will just highlight it as it comes. And people, it requires patience. Okay, It requires patience. See, map is 0, reduction is 0. So first mapping will be done. You will see that map will be 100% first, and then only reduction will start. This is nothing but mapping will. See, map is 100 and reduces 0%, and now reduction will start. I will again repeat. Map and reduction we haven't discussed that architecture. Okay. Now see, everything is done. Now if I want to see the output, let me go and try to refer the GUI. Let me refresh it. Okay. And now if I try to see the output, what was the output folder? KBIET underscore KBIET 123 underscore output. Okay. So let me go here and try to see in the file system of output. So you will be able to see the output. So let me go here and extract it. So let's check whether you are able to see the file with the name KBIET underscore KBIET 123 underscore output. Yes, you are able to see that. See, I will highlight it. Here you are able to see. So if I go and if I try to click on that, it's a directory. Inside that, your output will be indexed in this folder, in this file. If I go and if I try to hit the first 32 kilobytes, now see, this is your output. See, big word has come 2 times, big data has 4 times, by 2 times, data 2 times, print 3 times, and so on. So this is what the output of that particular program, WordCon program, which we have applied onto the text file which I have shown. Yogesh has come 2 times. If I want to show you the same output onto terminal, I can show you that one also. So Hadoop DFS -ls, okay, and slash, what is the folder name? KBIET 123 underscore out. Inside that there is a file called as part-r-000. Why am I writing it like this? Because if you see the file in which my output is, that file is part-r-5 times 0. Because by default Hadoop actually creates the file with that name. So here you will be able to see the output is inside that particular file KBIET 123. Inside this there is input and KBIET 123 underscore output. Inside this folder there is part-r-0000. And that's why I have written that path. So that's why I have written that path here. 0 is part-r-5. I hope you people are able to understand. Now let's just see this and you will be able to see the output here. HDFS, I want to see the output, right? So I should use scan count, basically. Now I will be able to see the output here also. Big word has come 2 times, big data has 4 times, and so on. Yogesh word has come 4 times, right? So this is the output of the WordCon program which we applied on that data. Okay. Now any question, anyone? Any doubt, anyone? Because generally I also know that people generally lose hope. They fear to installation of Hadoop if they see all these things. So don't fear, you have everything actually. I'll be sharing the virtual machine also. So if anyone is having any doubt, just put your question in the chat box. Madam, are you there? Hello.
Yes, sir, I am here.
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir.
So Mukesh, that's what I was trying to show. Rangda.
Yes, sir. Rangda sir. Okay. I hope you have liked the hands-on session also. Any other messages? Anybody? Show parallel computing on Hadoop.
Yes, Mukesh. Okay. That's what I was trying to show.
Sir, we will plan one more session because now it's
we require time. We require
time
for
as well. Sir, the network problem may arise for some of the students.
Okay.
Because from last 2 hours we are continuously, and other sessions of their lectures and practicals were also there. So we will definitely plan one more session where we will have parallel computing on Hadoop. Any more questions from anybody?
Yeah, yeah. Any question from your side, people?
Short questions. Sir,
And
I
see,
have, sir, I have one.
whatever I have shown you. Suppose if you want steps to install Hadoop, all the steps are actually given here in the
Okay.
description of my video. Everything step-wise given, and I have already shown each and every step to install Hadoop. Each and everything I have with errors. If error comes, what to do? All those things actually shown in this video. That's why it's near about 1 hour of video. Okay, so those people who are interested, they can definitely refer.
Okay,
Okay.
Siddhant, I'll check with it. Okay.
Yes,
Uh,
madam. What were you asking?
Sir, it was really very nice session that you have starting from the basic concepts till the hands-on. So this is the first time every thing from starting to end, like how actually the big data and Hadoop works. So you have actually motivated us to know more about this Hadoop, even students and staff members who have attended this. So I think we should plan one more session with your permission whenever you will be available. But it
Definitely.
was very, very informative, very nice session, and very sequentially arranged session. So I want to say that for students or staff members who are attending, that sir is Oracle Database 10G Administrator Certified Associate, and he is global certification in data science and big data analytics by Dell, and he has Microsoft Python developer certification, and he is, as he has already informed, that he has a YouTube channel where he has kept his many things like technology details and hands-on, and how to install, how to practice, how to use different programs on big data, data science, Python, machine learning, and Hadoop like technologies. So I hope these all videos will be definitely helpful to all the participants here. So on behalf of this Center of Excellence of Big Data and Hadoop, very first I would like heartily thanks to Mr. Yogesh Murunka sir, who has took about 2 hours session continuously, considering all the aspects of students and staff members, very nicely presented in simple language, understandable form. And sir, we are definitely looking forward for more sessions or more interactions. I also thankful to all the participants who have patiently participated and listened and upgraded their knowledge and benefited from this webinar. So once again, I thank all for this webinar, and we are definitely meeting once again for some more sessions. So I thank Sir Yogesh sir. It was very, very nice session, and we are very thankful for your so much of knowledge delivery. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you, madam.
yes, sir. Any more questions from
Yeah.
students?
If someone is having question, please ask.
Or otherwise I will declare this session to be over. Yes,
Yeah.
any questions?
Any question from your side, guys? Anyone? Any question? Okay. Thanks, Akash.
Okay.
Thanks, Akash. Okay, and I'll be sharing this recording also. If you
Yes,
people
sir.
want the recording, I'll be putting it on my channel itself. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Those who want to go and refer it, definitely they can. So I think there is no question, madam, from your side.
Yeah, yeah, sir. Sir, we will also try to plan some further activities in
Yes, yes,
this
definitely, madam. Definitely.
center.
Yeah.
And one more thing, as I've already introduced Yogesh sir, that he is also a good trainer in this area, data science and Hadoop. So for that also, if anybody wants to contact, you can contact him, or you can mail me, I can forward him. Okay. So thank you all for attending this session. And now I declare that our webinar is over. Thank you. Thank you once
Thank you,
again.
guys. Thank you, madam.
Okay. Welcome, sir.